that turned the tables for me. Like it was that I was like, okay, like road racing became my priority then. Now I was
Wow.
like, yeah, I want to. This is when I wanted to do, I put a lot more focus into road racing from that point. The only problem was, is I just didn't have anywhere to ride, nowhere.
Yeah.
I rode once a month at Willow Springs because I was too young to
Yeah.
race anywhere else. So the only time I rode was on a Friday, once a month at Fast Track Fridays at Willow Springs. And then from there, but I would just, and then went into racing at 13, 14.
What was it? What was it like? Obviously your dad. Anyone who races their dad, or they always have a father figure. That's kind of a big part of that. Did it feel like it got hard all of a sudden when that happened for you to kind of keep going?
Yeah, it was tough, and it was funny. We talked about Billy because right when my dad passed away, my mom, I don't know, I think she didn't want me being around the house and getting kind of down on it, and I was kind of weird. Like I was kind of weird when my dad died, and I still never even really dove into this at all, like with anybody. But I didn't cry. Like
Just-
I didn't cry when
just-
my dad died. Like I was the one that found him, because my sister had went to school earlier than what I went to school, and I always rode my bike to school. But she came in and was like, "Hey, can you go check on Dad? He's sleeping now, but can you go and check on him before you go to school? Just make sure if he needs anything before you leave." Because the nurse was like expected to come in, not long after I was leaving for school. So I was like, yeah, no problem. So obviously she left school. I got ready for school and was going to ride my bike to school. And I went and checked on him, and he was cold. And I knew then, and I kind of shook him for a little bit. And then I was like, oh. And then I went and I called my sister, and I was like, and my mom. I called my mom, not my sister because we didn't have cell phones then, but I called my mom and told her, and obviously she rushed home, and I literally went and laid on my bed, and just sat there laying on my bed, like looking at this. I don't know, it was a Supercross poster that I had in my room, and just sat there, like just staring at that for hours. Like even when my mom and everyone, like they came in and carted him out, I just laid on my bed, like
shock.
yeah, just shocked, like just kind of numb. Like it sucked. Like I always had a closer relationship with my mom as I was growing up. I was quite a big mommy's boy, like growing up, and mom was always the one, but I did still have that great relationship with my dad. Like I loved him, and my dad was amazing. He always was selfless, helped everyone else at the track. He spent more time working on everyone else's fucking bikes than my own. But like, yeah, everyone loved him. He was just a stoner. Like always they were going off on their nature walks with the other parents. Like. Yeah. And but he was just a super good dude, and would give everyone the shirt off his back, was a good guy. But it was sad because I never really truly I mean, I went with road trips with him and stuff like that, but I never really had that opportunity to truly get to know him as you would normally with the father when you're grow up post-teen years and so forth. That's when you kind of need that father figure. And so yeah, it was tough, and then it was extremely tough on my mom. But so she actually sent me. I went and stayed and lived with Billy Laninovich I went and lived with Billy for like 2 weeks because his family were like big Christians, like really big into religion and stuff. And I think my mom just wanted me to be and having a good influence and things. And so yeah, it was good.
Do you feel like there was like a shift at that point in terms of your mentality around racing? Like I know for me personally, and I think for most racers or people that compete at something that takes so much mental capacity, like you kind of compartmentalize stuff and you can kind of like put shit in a box just to go ride,
Yeah, I think I think even more I put things into racing at that point. Like I knew I was now the man of the house, and I literally put everything. Racing was going to be my goal. That was going to be my life. And it was crazy because I had a 6th grade teacher, and it was that same year Like I had horrible. I went from having like the most amazing teacher ever in my life in 5th grade. Super cool. Like she was super supportive of me racing. When I came back from trips, like she would have me show my trophies and like explain where I was and where I traveled and like just always like, yeah, follow your dreams, all that, to literally this just fucking troll, evil bitch, like unbelievable. Like, and then my dad had just died, and I was obviously, just I was gonna act out and not be, I was gonna be a tough kid at that time, anyways. But she was just horrible, like constantly, because I was having to take time off to go ride or go, I'd have to take a few days off here, a few days off here or there, and she was always on my case, like, oh, racing, you're just a joke, like racing's never going to get you anything, you need to focus your life on school. And I was always like a solid student, like as in elementary I was always like top, A's, B's, regularly C, I was always quite good in school in the elementary years. And then yeah, I had that teacher, and she was just like, just crazy. Like, honestly, like it was always like, it seemed like every week she was telling me, like, I'm going to be a failure and racing's going to make me a bum and negative and this and that. And it was literally at that point that I kind of just went, screw this. Like, I don't need school. Like, school became like a lot less of a priority from that point forward. And I was like, I'm gonna focus on. I did the bare minimum in school just to get by, and then even more focus into racing. And and then it was at that point, like I said, at the split road that we were talking about, I had the Team Green option or go road racing with John Ulrich. Obviously, Al was helping me out, and then John came along and had seen my potential and said, look, we'll basically give you a I think it was like $40,000 contract. At 15,
so that was probably a big decision.
Yeah, and that was huge for my family. Like, because that was money I could put into my family and who had been supporting me financially.
What year would that have been?
So that was 1999.
Oh, wow.
So you literally had, hey, well, I can go ride for free moto or get paid.
Yeah.
To ride your first real contract in whatever.
And were you thinking about it in terms of like how hard it would be to make that 40,000 in motocross versus how much maybe easier it was for road racing? Was that like a thing for you too, or you kind of like, this is kind of the easier road?
It felt like the easier road. Like I could get to the pinnacle quicker. A heck of a lot easier and quicker than I could going that route.
Did anybody help you make a decision, or was that just solely yours?
No, it was solely mine.
Wow.
Like it was. I mean, my mom was. She was never like, take this one way or the other. Even knowing the money was on offer, she's like, look, if there is motocross, we'll do everything we can to, support. But it was going to take a huge load off of her, even if I did go the motocross route. And she just said, do what you love. And it was a tough decision in that regard, but even then I thought of it, and it's still kind of the case now, but I always kind of thought of it as road racing was I loved it, and it was always my passion and so forth, but motocross was always my first love. Like, it was something I get out and I love it. Like, and it's freedom, like unbelievable freedom. So I could keep road racing as my job.
Road racing's like your wife, and
exactly.
Motocross is your girlfriend.
Exactly. And motocross was my escape. Like,
nice.
And I could keep it as my first love from that point forward, and kind of always was. And
that's crazy to think like that. I mean, you were young.
Yeah, and it was a big decision. And it was funny though, because I went out. And I did it, and it was cool. Like we started off racing the Aprilia Cup Challenge because I wasn't old enough yet. So I was turning 16 like mid-year. So he had to put me out first time on the Aprilia Cup Challenge bike, and I was in it. Ben Spies was racing with me in that, and some other a bunch of people like that raced in Moto America and stuff, like Jason DeSalvo and some others were in that. And but yeah, won that. So that was cool. Got a trip to Italy. Got to test the 125 Grand Prix bike in Italy, which was cool. But that was yeah, it was cool. Like all the Aprilia Cup Challenge winners. It's kind of exactly similar program what we have with our FIM Mini GP now, but basically Aprilia did it then, and yeah, all the winners from around the world. And it was funny, like Australian one was like Brock Parks, and there was a bunch of like pro guys still around that
that's really cool,
that were in that with me. But yeah, it was, and then boom, straight to 600 Super Sport, 750 Super Sport, and yeah, I went, and it was funny with the money. I bought my mom a car. So first thing I did was bought my mom a Ford Mustang. She said she always wanted a Ford Mustang. So
V6 or V8?
No, I was just a V6.
Yeah.
So
how much was that? Do you know? You have any idea?
No, it was like 18,000.
So you took literally you took like half your paycheck.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I went and bought myself a Ford F-150. Like so.
So you got no money.
Bought myself a Ford F-150. And then did like some conversions, but I was making quite a bit of money in bonuses, and like I got a couple little sponsorship deals. I mean, that first year I was making like 60. Ended up making like 65 thousand or something like that.
That's a pretty big year.
Especially with like the bonuses and things.
Old. Yeah.
And it was funny. Like I was in school. I was rocking up and brand new, like
making more than the teacher.
Yeah, exactly. It was quite cool.